I was prepping this video when literally 5 minutes ago, my good friend texted me saying that she and 1,940 other junior Delta pilots got their pink slips effective 1 October. This is your furlough update for late August 2020. Hey, it's Steve. Welcome back to Clear Direct. Now, if you haven't noticed yet, there's a scrubber bar that has changed a little bit. You've got chapter markers helping you navigate to other airlines. Now, understandably, reading the discourse on the forums online, tensions and anxiety are running really high. So I know you're well informed about what your union and airline are doing. So take a look at what other airlines are doing so that at least you know you're not alone through all of this. We're gonna go in reverse order today of the 6 airlines we're gonna talk to. We're gonna talk the smallest 3 of those 6, and then we're gonna point out a stark difference between the biggest 3. And I think you'll find that pretty interesting. So with that being said, let's jump right into JetBlue. JetBlue, I finally got some insight into why and how they were able to make that claim that they're not going to furlough any pilots until May 1st, 2021. I received the LOA, I kind of looked through it, and it looks to me that between ALPA and the company, they came to an agreement that granted management some leeway in code sharing with American as well as with some scope language. So also, there are some flexible minimum pay guarantees and a maximum credit of 70 hours, which to me sounds like it's kind of peanut butter spread where everybody takes a bit of a pay cut to help keep the juniors aboard, which is kind of rad as a junior guy. Now, this next one's pretty interesting. I never heard of this, is disallowing the high pay top of the line captains from flying a zero revenue flight, a maintenance delivery, a ferry flight, a reposition. So that kind of makes sense. I think the rest of the industry can take notice of that. Now, they've also offered some voluntary incentive lines, leaves of absence. So I like how each paragraph in the LOA has a mechanism to plus back up if their company-wide flying increases above 78,000 hours per month. So moving on into Alaska. I covered this pretty thoroughly in my last video, but essentially, the company got a lot of pilots to take the 50-hour extended incentive lines, varying in length from 6 months to 24 months, along with early outs. So this resulted in no announced furloughs so far. Now, lines for active pilots are being built between 65 and 75 credit hours, but it sounds like there's still a 75 credit hour guarantee. I'm a little surprised this didn't come down. Okay, Southwest. Southwest is a little bit tricky since they use TFP or trip for pay, which requires a multiplier if we're going to talk apples to apples among different airlines. So they've offered extended emergency time off or EXTO, which pays 55 TFP, which I'm told roughly equates to 40 hours. Now, they have a Lance Captain program, which are captains that bid FO lines, but they can pick up captain trips. Now, unfortunately for them, they're gonna get paid out on that EXTO program on the FO pay scale. The EXTOs were offered in various lengths between 6 months and 5 years. And pilots on those statuses will retain all current benefits, including healthcare and travel privileges. The same with Alaska and JetBlue. Okay. Break. Those are the bottom 3 of the big 6, if you will. Here's the stark difference. From Investopedia, they did a breakdown of the debt to equity ratio of the US airlines. That's essentially the total debt divided by the shareholder equity as a kind of a health determination of how the company is doing fiscally. Now, big, bad, low, good. The numbers above 100 right here, the cut line, you see Delta, you see Hawaiian, you see United, we're talking here today. The numbers below 100, Alaska, JetBlue, and Southwest. Okay, which one's missing? American. They're not included as it is currently running a negative debt to equity ratio. The smaller 3 companies are also a little bit more nimble. They're primarily domestic. They have a limited international exposure, which is helping, okay? I know this probably isn't helping a lot of you that are employed by the big 3 right now, but at least it's good to know kind of how the smaller 3 that I'm calling, are getting these voluntary incentive lines. Okay, so let's jump on into the big 3. United. They're still looking at 3,900 potential furloughs, starting with 1,750 on October 1st. Now, only around 400 to 500 pilots took the voluntary early out, which doesn't sound like it helped too much. Now, reportedly, the senior pilots weren't super keen on lowering the monthly guarantee, so ALPA is trying to work all their options, okay? Now, more details are really hard to come by, so if you know anything more than that, please send it my way, and I'll include it in the next furlough update. On into American. I'm lucky I've got a good friend who gave me a lot of good detail, and I'm just gonna, rather than put my spin on it, I'm just gonna quote directly from him, who's a junior FO. Quote, "We're all pissed that the latest deal with the company didn't buy much results. Basically, those above the furlough line could bid either a zero timeline or work alternating months. For each person that took one of those, it could mitigate either one or half a furlough. Those below the line could also bid for the same to mitigate their furlough, but nothing was guaranteed. There was also a furlough with training option where a furloughed pilot could just bid, stay current, do distance learning in sims, and the company would pay a share of COBRA costs so that the pilot would be paying normal health care." He goes on, "Anyhow, it's rumored that the whole thing wasn't very effective, and many are pissed since a big reason not to furlough is the cost of retraining people. So lots of people see this as making it easier for the company to furlough more people. Now, they sent out 2,506 warn letters. Still quoting, "Many of us at the bottom were hoping for an average line value reduction," that peanut butter spread, right? "Unfortunately, the board of directors viewed it as a concession and wouldn't let the negotiating committee go down that route. I guess the company wasn't receptive to much, especially opening the early retirement window to more pilots." Okay, this is what's interesting. That brings us back to that graphic we just talked about. Quote, "$40 billion in debt doesn't leave management too many options," end quote. All right. Moving on to the final one, Delta. We already hit that up front. 1,941 junior pilots just received their pink slips effective 1 October. Now, they were estimating 2,558 junior pilots to receive a pink slip. So I suppose that's good news, but it's a potential that this is just kind of a phased implementation. I'm rooting for you. I'm hoping a CARES Act 2 helps you out. Now, a voluntary early out was taken initially by 2,234 pilots, but 428 backed out, leaving only 1,806. And with that pilot group, that doesn't help. It doesn't appear to help a ton. Now, reportedly, ALPA is still in talks with the company, looking at similar voluntary incentive line programs that have been well received, that I've been talking about. Now, ALPA is lobbying pretty hard on Capitol Hill for the payroll support program. Now, as you know, in a month, CARES Act expires. But don't you worry, Congress is hard at work, calling an emergency session, getting you guys the funding that we know it's for the Postal Service. Okay, here's the good news is it's an election year, good or bad. Now, I see that as good news. See that as promoting some action, but be ready to be used as a political pawn. Hey, big thanks to my sources and the contributors who made this video possible. I've got a lot of exciting things to announce soon, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm also working with the NTSB and FAA to finish up the investigation on my Bonanza crash, at which point I'll make a full fighter pilot debrief video. It'll be hard to make, but it'll be very interesting, and I hope everybody takes something out from it. So make sure you hit the notification bell to get notified on when that happens. Okay, you guys know the drill. Take care of your passengers, take care of your families, take care of yourselves most of all. Until next time, you're cleared direct.